Welcome back to the K-Files. Today we are investigating the field where I died. Civil War. Welcome back to the K-Files. Welcome to the Lush Basement Office. I'm here, just looking around sometimes at all the wonderful stuff we have, and we've highlighted our little bobbleheads because they're pretty
Dan and
awesome.
Scully, Dan and Mulder next to us.
The Eternal Flame. I'm your host, Katie.
And we're co-host Rosalia, and we're coming at you from HollywoodRedux.com.
Hollywood Redux. So we're talking about the field where I died today on the K-Files. So beginning of the 4th season, we've crested over the hill into the 4th season.
Good intro to the 4th season.
Yeah, we're taking kind of a strange path through the show. We're not really hitting, all of the bigger episodes. We're kind of skipping some of the season finales, season premieres, all the those are usually the big mythology episodes, or those ending season enders and then openers. So we're not hitting all of them, and we're kind of just doing the the bread and butter, or the meat of the show, or like the field where I died. I would say is a pretty solid monster of the week episode that is a very different kind of show than we've seen from the X-Files. Now we're in the 4th season, and we're able to do these stories that are a little more cerebral. This is a Morgan and Wong episode written by the dynamic duo, and it was directed by, of course, Mr. Rob Bowman, the feature director. He directs all the feature episodes, and this episode was one of the longest episodes ever edited before they had to edit it down for TV.
What was it, like an hour long before it could even air, and then it went down to 18, or they had to cut out 18 minutes of it, right? Or something
edited by longtime series
insane.
Editor Heather McDougall, who also edited the miniseries, who is a very prolific TV editor. She did this episode, and when it originally, the first cut of it was an hour long, and they had to get it down to include commercials for
They wanted to add
TV,
more to what was it, Melissa's character, and add 2 more personalities, and extend more on the Lily personality that she was playing.
Yeah,
as
so
well.
the Melissa Riddell character, Riddell Epheisan, who interestingly enough is played by the actress Kristen Kloke, who was then engaged to Glen Morgan and is now still married to him after all this time. They had a couple of kids.
She was badass in this episode.
She does a tremendous job. The part originally had 2 more personalities involved, and the child personality Lily was extended. That was a much more prominent in the episode, and got pared down to just now surfacing for a little bit. Just Lily comes out, and then Sydney comes out and is like, no, I'm sending the kid home. So that was extended, and you can see it's just a very big episode, very big ideas in it, ideas of how souls move through time, basically, is what they're meditating on, which is big
Even Mulder got in on that action of past lives and whatnot.
Yeah, so this episode, Field Where I Died, I would say it's not dissimilar from another episode that's in this era of the show called The Pine Bluff Variant, where it's a Mulder is the one who sees what's really happening, and there's definitely a case happening, but Mulder sees the invisible part of the story when no one else does. And so
even Scully, dude, I'm surprised it took her forever to even accept that idea of past lives for someone who's kind of open-minded.
Well,
she wasn't
she's Catholic too, so you're like, oh, you're Catholic, you believe in, reincarnation, basically. Well, not really reincarnation, but I don't know. Anyway, yeah, no, I agree with you.
Just saying, I had to point it out there. Go on.
Yeah. Well, what did you think? Jeez.
Well, okay, I do have to point out at the very beginning, when Mulder is looking at the 2 photographs, I understand the concept, but man, was it cheesy. Mulder's face, dude.
Aww.
I'm so sorry. I love the dude, but a little over dramatic, maybe.
You think a little cheese factor?
The
perhaps,
little
on this
cheese
one?
factor was a little overboard with the. I can't even do it because it's so fucking funny.
It's Duchovny. I love Duchovny so much. I think
love
he's
him so much,
wonderful
man,
actor, especially in this era. I think he's a really sensitive actor. But I do agree that sometimes when he has to do crying, things like that. I think maybe that's a little hard or was a little hard for him, and so he goes to the move of like kind of scrunching up his face a little bit is the move. And I love this episode, and especially like the beginning ending voiceover I think is really cool because it's Robert Browning's Paracelsus, and the words are so beautiful and so not necessarily specific to they seem to be relative to the past life thing, you know, correlative
right.
to the what we're talking about, the past lives thing. But I think it's also about what you could even take past lives and what that means. You could take that a step further, and I think that what Paracelsus is talking about is how in one human life, in the lifespan of one human being, you live many lives. You are essentially, you die and are reincarnated in your own body again and again. How like sometimes a bad thing happens to you, or like coming of age when you're a kid and you're coming of age, and then maybe like 30 coming of age. Like there are these moments in a human life when you have to say goodbye to certain childish parts of yourself, and as we've seen, the words on the show that have been used in the past to describe it are you plant your 2 feet in the world to become a father. Like that's what in Amor Fati in that episode arc, that's what Mulder hears to sort of get him to where he needs to be. And so like there are many coming of age moments in a human life, and so that's what like that Paracelsus is talking about, is that there are parts where you have to sort of die, but then the body goes on. The dim memories of life, you are able to find yourself again on the path of on your path.
Not only that, but like for example, Melissa and Mulder in their past lives, whoever they were representing, like they were soulmates. So no matter what, they're still gonna find each other, and that's something else. Like Melissa's character or whatever personality was, made sure to tell Mulder every time, or at least pass on the message,
Well, when Mulder gets regressed, in that there's that great scene of Mulder's past life hypnosis. Past life hypnosis on the show is, or just in general, regression therapy hypnosis is used on the show quite a lot. And Mulder himself has been hypnotized a number of times. Scully too, actually. So there's a great scene, and Mulder talks about how in that under hypnosis, what he saw as like the progression of souls, which is that souls come back together again and again. So like if you are back in a body as Mulder, then the entity known as Scully comes back in this life as some other thing in his life. And so he and Scully historically in their past lives, if you take this episode as fact, which is the X-Files, it's always both things are true at once. Like the invisible world is just as true as the visible world. So in this life, if you take that as fact, then Mulder and Scully have always been in fighting in wars together. Like they've always been like in the Civil War memory, Sullivan Biddle, Scully was his, I forget, general or something. Like Scully was his compatriot. And so like they've always been like comrades in arms, and that's their the spiritual
soulmates will always find each other, man.
But I would argue that that's only at this current time what Mulder sees, because you can't know what you don't know, and what Mulder didn't know at that time, although on some level he probably did, was that like in this life Scully is the love of his life, and that's I think that's what that Melissa's character, the Civil War personality, what she was saying is that it's so sad because in this life we've both been brought back just to pass, because she was on her way to dying pretty quickly in this life.
No joke.
Yeah, no joke. It's a sad story. It's X-Files often has sad endings.
That's all I'm saying.
Not a lot of happy endings all the time on the X-Files, which is one thing that I actually really like about it.
She was so close to having a happy ending.
But she says it. She's like ready. She's like, now that I have this information about the perpetuity of life, I want to get this one over with because this one sucks. Which is of course the complete wrong way to understand that at all, is that like that's what Mulder tells her, is that no life is pointless. That's what you're supposed to understand. So it's as often the case on the X-Files, it's all about how you see it. Like all things are true at once, but you have to see all things and decide for you what is the truth, which is out there, which is in here.
Another life lesson brought to you by the X-Files, you guys.
We go there every week. Yeah, so pretty cool episode. It's a great monster. It's a sad one. There's a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions, and I really love the MSR stuff in it. Most of all, the conversation they have where Scully says, "I wouldn't change a moment of it, even the stupid fluke man." Yeah. Or she would change the fluke man. But yeah. So, and that's how I feel about the X-Files. There's like this. Maybe there's some cheese, but overall, I wouldn't change a moment of it.
Right at the beginning too, man.
It's your X-Files.
Great intro to the episode. Cheese all around. Love it.
Yep. We have dreamt a life the stage's way, etc. All right. Well, that's the truth of the field where we died. The field. There it is. Kersey's Field.
Right there.
We're coming to you from Hollywood Redux. My name is Katie. You can find me at KMoles on all social media.
And I'm your co-host, Chrysalia. You can find me at Chrysalia on all social medias. And we're coming at you from HollywoodRedux.com. Guys, please check out #HRVR with the guys over at Infinite Grenade Launcher.
Yeah, it's
IGL.
VR month at our video game podcast, IGL. And if you have any cool VR stuff that you would like to send us that we could retweet or talk about on the show, #HRVR. And it's really cool stuff. If you have any interest in VR, you're going to want to check it out because we're playing a ton of games. We're previewing lots of upcoming technology.
Look, man, we're
applications.
Interested. You're interested. Let's just share it all around.
Especially if you like the X-Files, then VR is very compelling and terrifying, and you should pay attention to it. So definitely subscribe and give us a like if you liked, and comment below and let us know what you thought. And we'll be back next week with a new episode.
Check out that video like that's right next. Just do it. Just click it.
Click it.
See you guys.
See ya. Thank you.